Limitless Metaverse, not just a moment, but a movement. Please join me in welcoming our speakers to the stage. Cathy Hackl, who is the Chief Metaverse Officer and co-founder of Journey. Faith Popcorn, who is the Chief Futurist at Faith Popcorn's Brainverse. And Tiana Holt, who is the Principal and Chief Strategy Officer, also at Faith Popcorn's Brainverse. Please welcome them to the stage.
Now that's some walk-on music. We can work with
I
that.
know.
Well, good morning. Good morning. You know, what a great time slot, right? Coming in, able to follow the mayor of crypto capital of the world.
The hangover slot.
Well, we are just so thrilled to be here today and really have a chance to talk with both the Nostradamus of trend and marketing and the Godmother of the Metaverse. And since we're talking about the Metaverse, we should meet their avatars too, right? Let's take a look. Whether you're an animal, an angel, or exactly as you are, the Metaverse lets you be whatever you want to be. And that's what we'll be talking about today. You know, this isn't actually the first time these two have shared a stage. In fact, they came together for NASDAQ's very first ever opening, ringing bell in the Metaverse. Let's take a look.
Here are the opening bells at the NASDAQ Journey Innovation and Design Consultancy.
It is Journey, creator of immersive experiences, ringing the bell in the Metaverse.
Fantastic. Cathy, why don't you get us started? I think there's something you want to ask the crowd.
I always ask whenever we do a talk, I kind of want to get a sense for the room. Who here thinks the Metaverse is the future? Raise your hand, please. Okay, so I know who's a skeptic and who isn't, okay? So that's always a good way for us to start to understand like what people are thinking, how they're feeling about this, and you know, who we need to convince as well.
Who we need to bring along the journey.
Yeah, along the journey.
So, Faith, you've worked with Fortune 500 CEOs from around the world. Where's the hesitancy coming from? What are leaders worried about when it comes to the Metaverse?
Because it's all about, the future's going to start later. And we don't have to worry about it right now. And that's how they missed home delivery, bottled water, a whole bunch of other stuff. So we say the future starts exactly now. And now, and now. So everything like a second ago, now's the future of that second ago. And the Metaverse is not if or maybe or when, it is here. And it is just getting bigger and bigger and actually crowding IRL out. So I think you're here because you will pay attention to that.
That's the hope and the ambition, right? So, Cathy, you know, as the godmother of this space, where is it heading? What's it all about? Who's leading the way?
I think we should maybe start with, I think everyone here probably has an idea of the definition.
Yeah.
Right. But I also think we need to kind of maybe level set a little bit. And
let's level set.
I will tell you this. There's no agreed upon definition. I used to start my mornings off going to the Merriam-Webster dictionary and typing the word metaverse. It wasn't there until a few days ago. It finally is in the dictionary. So I'm like, okay, great. I don't agree necessarily with the definition they put up, but that's okay. I think most of us in the industry, whether it's Matthew Ball or myself or even Neil Stevenson, I think we all agree we see it as the successor state to today's mobile internet. It is enabled by many different technologies. So whether it is augmented reality or virtual reality, AI, 5G, NFTs, blockchain, throw any tech jargon at it, that's probably an enabling technology. It is not one single technology, so it's not only VR, right? It's not Ready Player One, and it's not one single company, right? So I think that's really important. It's a further convergence of physical and digital lives, and I think the most important thing for anyone here to understand is that, we're there's hype around the word, the word is a little polluted, but at the end of the day, what we're talking about is that for a lot of the especially younger generations, just because it happens in a virtual space does not make it less real. right? It is very real. If you have any children, I mean, I feel like we all work for either Fortnite or Roblox because we're all spending our cash on Robux and V-Bucks. But those things that are happening in these virtual spaces are real to them. The way their avatar looks is real to them. So I think that's really important. I would also advise you to start to think about thinking, a lot of people use the word real versus, virtual. I advise you to think like children. Children think virtual versus physical. They don't think something isn't real because it happened in a virtual space. So I think it's changing the mindset. Let's not get, hyped up about the word, wrapped around the definition. I don't seek to define the metaverse. I seek to build it out. So
Beautiful.
Well said.
And you are.
thank you.
And why now, Faith? You've looked at trends in culture your entire career. Why is this all of a sudden the topic of conversation?
Well, it's the same reason that Brain Reserve, Tiana and I and Cathy are doing this JV, because, we see the future. You're making the future. And now is because everything is like, ew, what else can go wrong? There's war, there's famine, there's you agree with me? I like that. There's the shortages of everything. There's ethical shortages and all kinds. So we're looking for an alternative space. And as that IRL gets tougher and tougher to negotiate, but it's not like going to the movies. It's like being in the movie. So we're jumping in there and we are living there. So I think that's why now.
We're living there. And what is so scary about the outside world?
Well, have you been outside lately? It's scary, and also I'll tell you another thing. People think that they have to put on that big Oculus. That's going to go away. It's going to be a little lens in your eye, and then it's going to be nothing. You just think, take me in, and you'll be in. So, yeah.
Yeah. And to that point, Faith, I think it's important to mention that for many of us in the industry, the metaverse is about virtual shared experiences that happen in virtual spaces, but also the physical world. Just the physical world has not been enabled.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it's getting there. The rest of the physical world has a little bit of catching up to do.
A lot of catching up to do.
They're not going to catch up. Just saying. So
we can always have hope.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
But I'm thinking there's going to be more there than here. And parents go, no. But I think Ralph Nader, if you remember that far back, said, if you're watching more than 5 hours a week of television, you're not in the real world. And look, I mean, we're in front of our screens. Do you think that's real? I mean, it's real-ish, I guess, but we're going to be hopping in there with you. That's why we're hopping in there with you.
So Cathy, tell us, I mean, you build out some of the world's best experiences in this space. What are you looking towards and next? Who's out in front?
So I think it's kind of poetic, to be honest, that there are certain sectors that are leading. And this is kind of where I'm going with this. So if you look at Web 1, Web 2, like the first parts of the web, we have to be honest. Like, who was leading innovation? Most of the time it was adult entertainment, right? That was leading the innovation, that were pushing the tech forward.
Pornography.
I'll use adult entertainment.
Oh, okay.
But I think in this metaverse Web3 era that we're going into, if you look at it, it's really fashion and art. Like, fashion is really pushing the limits of this technology. And I think it's poetic because we all make fashion choices every single day, like we did when we were choosing what we were wearing here, or our avatars, for example. I just came back from New York Fashion Week. And it's funny because when I've gone before, it would almost be like a whisper, like, I work in tech, next to the person in the runway show. Now it's like, I work in tech, and all of a sudden we're extremely interesting to the fashion industry. So I think there's something there. And you had all throughout New York Fashion Week, you had Tommy Hilfiger returning to Fashion Week, doing his fashion show, and you could see it in Roblox at the same time, right? You had Vogue World, had an amazing fashion show to celebrate 130 years of the publication, and they had an augmented reality catwalk with Snapchat, which I know is here. They had a proof of attendance protocol, which is an NFT that shows you were there. You had Puma doing NFTs. You had just Metaverse, Web3 tech was all over New York Fashion Week like I've never seen it before. So I think that there's something there. There's something really exciting brewing there in that convergence of physical and digital. I think art as well. Art has been leading the way. We were at Christie's event with Mad Dog Jones and a whole bunch of the artists.
Had fun.
Yeah, it was great. So I think you're starting to see that. They actually took us. They gave us a tour of their of some of their exhibit areas where they have some of the things that they're auctioning off. And I mean, they had a huge section of Web3 art. It was beautiful. So I think, fashion and art are leading the way. You also have had the enterprise. I don't want to forget, any brands here that are in the enterprise. It's a little boring. But, I think medical, manufacturing have also been using, HoloLenses and augmented reality and virtual reality to kind of create things. So different companies, different sectors are moving the needle. I think the one that you see at the forefront right now is fashion, and like they're all in. I work with a lot of the fashion brands. Another interesting thing that I see evolving is even in my career, right? How I've evolved beyond, the work I used to do many years ago as a communicator. Now I've been in tech almost 10 years, and I just produced 3 concerts for Roblox. I'm outfitting celebrities in virtual couture. So think Jennifer Lopez with the green Versace dress, right? But how do you start to create those moments of fashion impact in the metaverse, right? So outfitting celebrities in what we call virtual couture. So yeah, I mean, I'm adding concert producer, virtual concert producer, and fashion designer, virtual couture fashion designer to my list of things. So for all the brands here and for the people here, is you need to start reimagining what your brand becomes, but also what you are going to do, right? Someone's going to have to lead Metaverse and Web3, and whether you choose to use the term Chief Metaverse Officer or not, right? Someone within your organizations and your brands is going to have to lead this, and this is your time for reinvention as well.
And not to replicate your in real life thing, whatever it is, like your fast food thing, and then you put it in the metaverse. Oh, we're in the metaverse. That's not the metaverse. The metaverse, is like the imagination of the brand.
Yeah. It's just because you sell deodorant in the physical world doesn't mean you need to be deodorant in the metaverse or a supermarket in the metaverse, right?
Exactly.
It's reinvention. And an example I shared with you guys is Journey, our company, which does a lot of world building. Our offices, we have offices in all these virtual spaces, and the one we have in Fortnite Creative is actually a floating yacht, right? And why? Just because we can. It's the metaverse. There's no building codes, right? So it's exciting. You can just think outside the box and just create something completely new.
I'm going to have mine the rocket ship.
Ooh,
rocket ship.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like the beauty. So there is hope for brands, for everyone here who's working on them. It's taking that space and taking that leap.
It takes another kind of thinking.
Yeah.
How do we open that kind of thinking within? How do we start to get part of that DNA to believe what's possible?
Fear, the great motivator. I mean, I think it's starting to occur to people, especially people that lead companies, that they could be left in the dust. Yes. And also experience. So we talk to, let's say a lot of CEOs and stuff. And they'll go, I don't think so. And we go, have you ever actually gone in? And that's what Cathy and I are doing together with Tiana. We're actually hold my hand or your hand and take them for a walk in. And then when they come out, they go like, wow. So I think giving them the real taste of it.
That's an important part.
Yeah.
As we think about how fast everything is changing now, Faith, I'd love to start with what are some things that you see as a prediction for the future of this space right now that we're calling the metaverse?
Well, just a conservative prediction is saying that we're training doctors there, veterinarians there, a fantastic training opportunity without any danger or risk. Now, here's the other one. So you know how you don't feel like dying? Well,
don't feel like it.
Yeah, I don't feel like dying today.
Not today. Yeah.
So you're going to be able to upload consciousness into the metaverse, and it'll be sufficiently programmed where your kids and your grandkids and your grandkids can actually talk to you and ask you questions. And that's where you will live. And if you think that's only in my imagination, we know that, those government agencies are already looking at this. So it's there. So don't be afraid of dying anymore.
Redefining legacy.
Yeah,
and time has
exactly.
no meaning. And Cathy, what predictions do you have for this
Mine's
space?
not going to be that far out.
Okay.
I would say for me, to me, the holy grail, really, the promise of the metaverse as many of us envision, truly does happen when you merge physical and digital. So whenever the physical world gets enabled and activated, it's going to happen, probably through some type of wearable, right? That is the holy grail. Like, that's the moment when everything around you is going to be space. It's going to change the constituents' lives for the mayor's constituents. It's going to change, how brands engage with the people, with their audiences. I don't even call them consumers anymore. They're audiences. You have so many different audiences, right? So I think that that's going to change. And what leads me to think this is the signal of, like, there's only so many more cameras we can add to our phone, right? If you're watching the Apple event, it's like, how much can you do? Dynamic Island, ooh. So there's only so much more you can do with these phones, right? It's going to come up to some type of wearables. I worked at Magic Leap for 2 years here in Florida. And, I think some type of wearable is going to replace the mobile phone. We can't keep living our lives within these little rectangles, in our hands and our desks. It's got to break out. And I think that that's eventually what's going to happen. And yeah, I think another thing I would say, it's a smaller prediction, is I think more brands and more brand marketers are going to start to think like gamers. I think this is really important. If you have not gotten, if you're not playing Roblox, if you haven't played Fortnite Creative, like, if you're not in there, like, you're not going to get it. But I see so many pitches, because I work with a lot of these brands, and they'll bring me in to be there with some agencies and brands pitch. And sometimes it'll be so brand driven. And the difference is that as we go into the metaverse and Web3, yes, the brand messaging has got to be there, and the brand assets have to be there, and the brand colors and all these sorts of things. But if I'm creating something in a gaming space, it has to be fun. There has to be a reason for the gamer to go in there and want to go and repeat to being in there, right? So I think taking that approach of understanding it's not brand first, it's gamer driven, right? Especially if you're going into these virtual worlds, keep that in mind, please. Yes, we all want the brand colors and the brand assets and all these sorts of things, but it has to be fun.
That's the beauty of, as we navigate, we have this chance to re-articulate. I can't believe how fast time goes, and quickly in this great discussion. There's a lot of things that we talked about. We talked about the evolution of language. We talked about what it is instead of real versus unreal, and all the things that we need to change in our own vernacular. But if we love this crowd to take away 3 things, what 3 things would you want them to remember? Cathy, can you get us started?
Yeah, the metaverse, it's not a matter of now. It's a matter of, it's the metaverse. It's a matter of now, not if. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really important. It's too big to ignore. The reality is that your C-suite is probably messaging you, like, what are we doing in this space? You probably have tons of people in your org wanting to activate at the same time, and you got to, reel everyone in. So yeah, it's not a matter of when, it's a matter of if. So.
Fantastic.
And looking at that person, right, you're marketing to, they're leading so many lives. People are not one entity any longer. They're like many. So do you have to market to each avatar? Maybe. You have to understand they have avatars, different identities, and for you, that means a lot more opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Cathy, bring us home with number 3.
Yeah, number 3, take this away, definitely. Your brand's DNA must be reimagined for the metaverse. So don't make an IRL copy. Think beyond that. So you have to remain flexible, artful, expansive. And for you, I think it's an opportunity for brands to reimagine who they are in this space. So I feel like the marketing function has been reinvigorated. Some of us were getting bored with Web 2. So it has been reinvigorated. Yeah. And then also the brand marketers that are sitting here, this is your chance to evolve and reimagine your career, right? That's an amazing opportunity that is upon us. So.
And as Faith said at the beginning, the future is now.
And now. And now. And when is it?
Right now.
Yay.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Q&A.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So before we have our esteemed speakers leave the stage, we'd love to open it up for a few questions for those here in the audience or those here in cyberspace. Okay, let's start here.
Okay.
So, things that happen in the metaverse feel like they can happen here, right? How are we going to protect people and have safety within the metaverse, right? If you get assaulted in the metaverse, it's going to feel like you were assaulted here. So what are we doing to protect people?
Yeah.
Great question in terms of physical and digital. How will we protect people in this space?
I think there's going to be real policing in this space. I mean, you know, because there's already some incidences of harassment, people wandering into your room and everything else you can imagine. So I think that's true. So what are you thinking?
So I've experienced it in virtual spaces. I've experienced it twice as a woman. So sadly, sometimes I go in as a man, a male avatar, or an avatar that is or sometimes I go in as a dragon or something.
Go in with a gun.
Random. So I don't think that's the solution. What I do think is there has to be some level of standards that we have to have the uncomfortable conversations now. Like that question's an uncomfortable question, right? But we need to have those conversations now. I live in DC, in the DC area. So one of the things I try to do is I try to educate lawmakers on what this is, right? And have conversations with them because it's going to impact their constituents' lives, right? It's going to impact our children's lives. So how do we start to set up maybe standards or guidelines to try to help, children? I think there's changes happening to the laws when it comes to children and gaming and social, right? I'm hoping that follows us into the metaverse. That being said, we're having conversations about something that is being built. And I'm sure that there are going to be challenges, right? That we have no idea could happen, right? So having those uncomfortable conversations right now, I don't think anyone has the solution, but I think being aware and going into this, not blindly, understanding that we have to protect everyone in that space, it's going to be important. But I would say standards, the XRSI, the XR Safety Initiative has some interesting guidelines. There's several resources. There's several people out there trying to work on this.
Let's get to another question. Thank you both.
There.
That's why the community exists in these spaces. Sure. So it's really up to us to have the conviction to step into those roles and put people in their place and protector. Like everybody needs to, I guess, maybe promote the protector aspect. Everybody has that trait within them. So in the community, in these spaces where those things are happening, I mean, I'm not going to let anyone bully anyone around. I'm going to speak right up. I'm going to put them in their place. And I think that, we all have the ground to stand on to do that. So I would just add to that.
Well said.
The community is going to take it into their hands and make something,
And to that point, I'll be very honest. I'm a very public figure in this space. I'm out there, right? I get attacks. I get hate sometimes. But for me, it's important for people to see a different face of technology. I'm not the typical face of technology that you see, right? I'm not a white male founder that, leads a big tech company. I have a wonderful company, but it's not, a $1 billion company. But seeing people like us on stage talking authoritatively about this is important. And one of the things that I do personally is I do get attacks, I get hate, and I take what I call them virtual bullets for lack of a better word, right? But if I have to take those for more people to come behind me and feel comfortable speaking about what they're doing, then I'm going to take them, right? Because one of my personal missions is for more women and minority folks to feel empowered and be part of this future. So please join us in building this future.
Fantastic. Any other questions? Yes, right here.
In the middle.
Hi. Regarding NIL and digital twins, who are the nation states, municipalities, or regions that are leading the charge? Is it Luxembourg with the Innovation Hub? Who understands the opportunity for brands and municipalities?
Awesome. I definitely want to answer that. Can we do her afterwards, just in the middle over here?
Yeah.
I work with, for example, the city of Orlando. They use the term meta center. They have the highest concentration of AR and VR faculty in the U.S. They have the highest number of Unity licenses. They're considered the simulation capital of the world. So you've got cities like Miami with the crypto. You've got Orlando with things related to XR. You've got Dubai doing a giant push. There's many. I feel like almost every day it's like a different city. But this is the reality where I'm going with this, is that Silicon Valley used to be the centralized place you would go, right, to think about innovation. And I think that is no longer the case. The whole point of Web3 is decentralized. So innovation has to be decentralized, right? I'm spending a lot more time in New York and Paris and London as innovation hubs, right? I look at Paris and everything that's happening there with fashion tech. I mean, it doesn't have to always come from Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley, and I love anyone that lives there. I go there all the time. Feels very Web 2.0 to me. Right? And I think it's time for a change.
Cathy, and we want to make sure we have time for that. One last question here in the center.
So your last comment about gamers in the metaverse, and the whole thing about, Web3 is owning your identity, owning your assets in the digital space. So gamers, for example, Roblox, Fortnite, they have assets that are thousands and thousands of dollars that they probably have accounts that they want to sell, and enabling that future. I know there's been some roadblocks in, not Roblox the game, but like roadblocks in that sense of like actually enabling these players to sell. Do you see that in the metaverse changing, and how long before it changes?
I think every platform is going to make a decision as to what's best for them, right? So I can't speak for Roblox or Fortnite or any of them. I do think that there are Web3 based games like Blanco's Block Party, or whether it's Core, or whether it is, Sandbox, that are kind of, that you could actually transfer your asset. If you own the NFT, you can transfer it to someone, sell it, all those sorts of things. I think it'll be a combination, to be honest. I'm realistic about the future. I'm working towards an open, decentralized metaverse. I think that should be the ideal. We should own our data. We should own our assets, right? But the reality is that I think the future is going to be a mix of both. It's going to be open and decentralized, right? And then you're also going to have some walled gardens that need to remain walled gardens for a reason or another. So whether it's defense, healthcare, whatever it is, we are still going to need some centralized walled gardens. And some of these bigger companies might have a centralized, they might have a walled garden that might have some openness within their family of apps or whatever. So I think it'll be a combination. I don't think we can be naive, because not everyone's going to be like, full in on open and decentralized. And then to that point, there's also geopolitically, there's a split, right? Just like with the internet, there's two versions of the metaverse that are evolving, right? Yeah. So that's always important to keep in mind.
For me, I think the best version is that we can put our kids into simulated history. You know how they hate to read history.
Yeah.
And actually have them, be in the Civil War, or be in the French Revolution. And the learning they're finding is so different, the imprint on the brain. Mm-hmm. So I think that's just a very hopeful thing, not totally commercial, about the future of our kids and the metaverse.
And speaking of the fact that we live in both worlds, were there any questions that were coming from cyberspace, the precursor to the metaverse?
Any virtual questions?
Any virtual questions coming in?
Yeah.
All right. One final question then from the audience? Yes. Thank you.
Good morning. Great speech, by the way. I just want to ask a question is the metaverse. Would you consider the metaverse to be a disruption like Airbnb was to hotels and Shopify was to shopping?
I call it a reinvention.
Reinvention?
I mean, yeah, it's disrupting everything we're thinking at the moment, but eventually we'll see it as a reinvention replacement thing as we look back.
Yeah. I mean, if it is the successor state to today's mobile internet, right? If Web 1 changed the way you engaged with the internet, if Web 2 changed it, this future that we're heading into will change it again. So it's a sea change. It's a paradigm shift in how we engage. So, but I do agree, it's a reinvention, really.
Yeah, so. It's a replacement.
Really? Sorry, can you just speak up a little bit so everyone can hear? Yeah.
I guess more so my question was, do you think that the metaverse, the way that it is shaped up now, is basically going to be the way that we all should do things in the future? Because you said it's like a mix between Web 2 and Web 3.
Should or will?
I believe will.
I do too.
But
I think
people
will,
that don't believe will.
But maybe we shouldn't, but we will.
Right.
Okay.
So
right. There.
And on that final note, just want to say thank you again to Cathy. Thank you again to Faith for sharing your vision of what's next.